snacks.
What it do, snackers, snackettes, snack X's? It's your boy Gage. Sin is in the building.
Yes, sir.
Jokes is in the building.
Yo.
And you are now tuned in to Loading Snacks Weekly, where we get together once a week and talk about all kinds of things that are happening in pop culture. And today
Today
we're going to move this down. And we have a lot to talk about, which I feel like I've been saying a lot on this show recently at the beginning of the show. There's a lot to talk about. That's a good thing. It's a good thing to have pop culture news to discuss. Really, what that means is we're probably going to get in depth on a couple of things, but we are going to talk about our overall impressions of Guardians Volume 3. We're going to talk about Redfall. We're going to talk about Xbox and the state of Xbox, this Phil Spencer interview that came out last week, how it all kind of pertains to what's going on in the gaming industry now as a whole. So, yeah, we got some depth to discuss. But before we do that, Jokes, you have a job to do.
I cannot. It will not let me post in the chat.
Jokes, you have one job.
Hey, it doesn't want me to do my job.
You have one job. That's cool. I know Sin will take care of it.
We're getting it right now.
My man Sin will take care of it. Sin, you have Joke's job to do. He put the struggle face on.
No, I just hit the wrong button and screwed up my screen. That's all.
Yeah, that's on live. That's your right in this.
I saw it get real bright.
I hit a wrong button. I'm trying to figure out how to cut. There we go.
Something happened.
There we go. All right.
Copy and paste. So there's the Beacons link for everybody who's here hanging out in the chats, whatever chat you're in. If you're on YouTube or Twitch or on Facebook or Twitter, Kick. If you happen to be there.
Wrong place. You need to move over to the other side when you posted that.
What are you talking about? He did it wrong?
Yeah.
And guess what? Neither can I. Neither can I.
Guess I got it. Listen, now, if I try to do this and this joint is like, you will not.
No, I'm just going to.
Man said, I got it. Nah, you don't.
No,
okay. So while I work on that, okay, Sin, you do have a job to do.
I do. That is to shout out our top tier patrons, starting with Anthony Cunningham, Marcus Houston, Susan Dortch, Tyrone Carson, Meticulous Skin, Alex Lee, and Ellis Mbe. Thank you very much. We truly, truly appreciate it.
We do. And on that note, I want to give a very special shout out to one of our top tier patrons, Ellis Mbe, who has been a supporter of us from the very beginning, who is a longtime friend. Ellis was in a very bad accident last week, but he is okay. Very, very minor injuries. I just want to send a shout out to Ellis and send some love. I'm glad you're okay. Yes, but yeah, listen, patrons are family. If you're not a patron, it's not that you're not family, but it's a little different. No, it really is. I had a chance to talk with Ellis earlier today. We had a very good conversation. I'm gonna go see him in a couple of weeks. But yeah, so if you happen to know him and know who he is, again, it might be a little private. Just send a well wish or just throw a prayer hands or something like that, just in case. Just because. So, on that note, I'm still working on this to see if it'll let me do what y'all couldn't do.
I have just been going to the different locations and posting it there, just so people can see it. And I see, at least on YouTube, because I don't know what's going on with Melon. I see we got Dr. Who in here. I see Mama Dorch is in here. I see Candace is in here. Yeah. At least on YouTube, so
we're gonna have to look at it because it's not not showing today.
So I'm just
see. Look, here we go. Wow, I can see some chat. I just gotta make
okay.
Hold up. Okay, let me move this over yonder. Get that out the way.
Yeah, let me get that out of there, just for the sake. Listen, I just want to make sure we give a little, hey, how you doing? Yeah. What up, Heather? Hey, how you doing? I gotta scroll back through that, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what's up, Dr. Who? Hey. Yeah. So I guess I'll be dealing with the chat this evening because I apparently I'm the only one who has access to it. We'll fight Melon about that later. Now, having done that, Loading Snacks Movie Club movie of the month this month is the Flashpoint Paradox, or should I say, the Justice League, the Flashpoint Paradox, which is the actual name, which is the animated feature for the Flashpoint Paradox, which we have all already seen and is really good. That's kind of where we are already. But we are going to do a watch along for this movie in our Discord on Wednesday, May 24th at 8 p.m. So I want you to know that way if you don't have it, if you want to kind of even if you have it or you've seen it already, if you kind of want to jump in and watch along with us in Discord, that is the thing. That's something we're doing. We want you to know that we're doing that. The following week, the very next Wednesday, the very last day of the month, the 31st, we are going to have the actual discussion. That will be up everywhere. That will be live. But if you just kind of want to hang out and watch the film with us and talk about it a little bit while the film is happening, the link to our Discord is in the Beacons link that Sin just like painstakingly everywhere for the sake. And I want you to know, Sin.
Yeah.
You will have to do that again at the end of the show. So just prepare yourself.
Hey, I kept them up there just because I knew it was gonna have to be done. So
my man. Saint is in the building. So here's what's getting ready to happen. We are going now to discuss our overall impressions of Guardians Volume 3. Before we do that, I need to make a couple of things clear. One, there will not be spoilers. Good. Our edition of Spoiler Boys for Guardians of the Galaxy is up. However, jokes. Did you get the audio posted to Anchor?
It gave me a problem this morning. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it's all good.
I'm asking. It's on YouTube.
Yep.
You can go and watch that Spoiler Boys episode is myself and Sin along with our good friend Coop, who jumped in, Jokes, who had not seen the movie, and I'm gonna assume has still not seen the movie.
That's what correct. I put my money on.
So first, hey Jokes, what's wrong with you?
Long weekend. Just time did not permit this time.
Hadn't you already purchased tickets? So did you just like miss your movie?
So
listen, I know we talked about this weeks ago.
I have movie pass things, so I don't lose money, so I'm good.
Hold on,
AMC pass. I have the AMC movie pass.
I was gonna say you got movie pass again.
Not movie pass. Not movie pass. No, not movie pass. Not actual movie pass. But I have AMC stubs right now.
So you have stubs. Mm-hmm. So because you have stubs, you bought tickets, but then you couldn't go see it, or you didn't buy tickets.
I didn't pay extra money to buy tickets. I have the.
Did pass. You order your tickets for the movie?
Yes.
Okay.
Something came up, didn't happen, so we're gonna rectify it a little bit later on in the week.
All right, look, man. Let me tell you what I'm not gonna do. I'm not gonna call you a liar. However, I am gonna say you are either providing some misinformation or you are leaving something out. What I don't have time to do is poke and prod at you to figure out what exactly is going on here. I don't. Maybe it's just because I don't understand how stubs works. Like I just don't understand because you
just like, you pay your monthly thing and you get 3 tickets a week to whatever you want to go see.
Right, and you claim those tickets, right?
Yeah,
There we go. Welcome to the show. So you claim your tickets. You have to claim them though. You have to say like, I want to go see this movie, right? So you did that, but you just didn't go to the movie. You didn't like oh, let me get that back.
Yeah,
it's not really a refund.
Yeah, you don't
get.
Yeah, you don't get your money back.
Well, I mean,
there's no. You're not
saying, like, I know. I'm just saying, like, you didn't say, oh, you know what?
Give
can't
these
go
seats back. Give these
Let me
seats
get one
back.
of these. Yeah. So
no, I just
basically just stole some seats from somebody else who might have wanted to go. Is where we are.
Technically, if you want to say it that way, then yeah, stole some seats. Then
Domingo said, got up with T and things happened, so they didn't make it. I don't know what that means. But that's what happened. That's what happened. That's all I need to know. Listen, so look, we're not gonna spoil it, especially because Jokes hasn't seen it. More importantly, that means Tatiana hasn't seen it. But it's all good. Hey man, listen, don't apologize. Everything's cool. Listen, Sin and I are gonna give you our overall impressions. We're not gonna spoil anything. If you don't mind being spoiled, I highly recommend you go watch Spoiler Boys. I'm gonna tell you now, it's like 2 hours long.
Yeah.
But it is because the episode is front loaded with just kind of the state of the MCU and kind of where this fits in that, which I do think is something that we're fair to talk about. Hey Domingo, Hey Domingo, I can't even post that. Listen, so I'm not even posting that. Sin.
Yes, sir.
Your overall impressions of Guardians Volume 3. What score did you give it in the beginning of Spoiler Boys?
I was at like a 7.5 or 8. I was somewhere around there at first when we started.
And by the time the conversation was over, your grade changed to what?
My grade changed to a 9.
To a 9.
Mm-hmm.
Which is pretty solid. Do you remember what you gave Wakanda Forever?
It was either a 9 or a 10.
8. No, it doesn't. I don't give out 10s like that. No, that's nah.
My man saving that 10 for fast.
Hey, look. I'm just saying. Don't be surprised.
You don't even need to see it.
Wakanda Forever, I gave it had to be an 8 or a 9. One of those two. It was an 8 or a 9.
Okay. On par.
I would say I like this more than that, just because
I was just getting ready to say.
Yeah, because
would you say that you like this better than Wakanda Forever?
Way better.
I think this joint is way better than Wakanda
Way
Forever.
Better. Yeah.
Way better than Wakanda Forever.
Yeah, this thing was fire.
I ever thought I was going to say that. Oh, by the way, I didn't skip you, Zaina. I'm going to get to it.
I knew that.
Featuring Jim and the BTS. I have to do it. We're not going to talk about it, though. So here's where I'm at. I did it like an 8. But I will say this. I believe that this is the best trilogy in all of the MCU. Guardians 1, 2, and 3. Best trilogy in all of the MCU. It puts a solid cap on where we are. It doesn't lean at all into the heaviness of what else is going on in the MCU in order to make it important or to make it good. There's no heavy like, oh no, because they did this, that means blah blah blah. Like none of that really matters. Those movies, the Guardians movies, are relatively self-contained, and this movie is good enough, well written enough, and executed well enough that I actually think if you haven't even seen the other 2 Guardians movies, you can watch this movie and enjoy yourself perfectly. But literally, Volume 1, Volume 2, especially if you throw in the holiday special, and then Volume 3, you're clean. You technically don't really need any of the rest of the MCU. You don't have to have it. I think that this movie is extremely well executed.
This is easily one of the funniest movies in the MCU.
Bruh.
Easily.
The comedy, the action,
fire,
the weight, of what's happening. All of it matters. All of it's important. All of it is really good. And unlike almost every other thing that I feel like James Gunn does, the music makes sense in there. It makes sense, and it makes really good sense. This one's for you, Zane.
Even right now, it arguably, right now, it probably has one of the best action sequences of the year, easily.
Oh, there's no doubt.
Easily, yeah.
There's no doubt. This movie is highly worth the watch. I'd recommend a second watch. Yeah, it ties everything up really, really well. Even the after credit scenes are like, again, like you can always take what you feel like it might be later on to, to the main MCU, but.
And just in case anybody's wondering, there are 2 end credit scenes, midway and at the very end, just so y'all know.
Andrew says James Gunn said he wants to put some cast from Guardians and DC movies. Who you thinking could play who? All right, let's do this first. Shout out to the hallway fight scene. You right, Domingo. Look.
I don't even know, really.
Yeah, DC likes to pull from a lot of obscure characters. So,
I mean, the Guardians are obscure characters. The Guardians are obscure characters. What I know is that Batista's out.
Yeah,
so
I know he said
he's gonna go wherever James Gunn lets him go. What character will be right for Batista is kind of hard for me to say. I do think. What up, Perp?
Yo.
I mean, I think there are characters he could play. I do feel like in a way Batista is kind of banking on James Gunn being able to do that. Look, there are certain things that James Gunn does that kind of bother me. Like I'm all about like, look out for your people, take care of your family. That man puts his wife in everything he does. He puts his brother in everything he does. He uses a lot of the same actors, like the actress who played Ratcatcher in
Suicide Squad.
Suicide Squad is in this. Obviously, the High Evolutionary was in Peacemaker. So, like, he work with.
Thank you for that. It was one of the things I was watching on top. Like, bro, I know his face from somewhere.
Oh, you didn't realize where he's from.
Nah, until you said that was him. Okay.
Batista as Lex Luthor, Perp.
No.
I don't like it.
You would have to sell me. You would have to sell me that one a little bit.
I would rather have Batista as Doomsday than have him as Lex Luthor.
That could work.
What's up, Alfonso?
Yep.
Perp said, hold up. Oh, Anthony said Grundy. Now that. I could see Batista doing Grundy. Perp said, why don't people ever get mad for Scorsese doing the same thing? And hold on, let me move this again.
And having the same actors. Yeah, but not just Scorsese. What's the name does it too? We bring him up.
Look, Tarantino does it. A lot of people do that.
Nolan?
Yes, Nolan, Christopher Nolan.
Yeah, a lot of people do that.
Tim Burton does it.
Huh?
Tim Burton.
Yeah, like Tim Burton almost. Anyway, so like I think it's because I don't even think people care so much about his brother. I think people are mad about his wife. I think that's really what it is. I think people like it's one thing to have people who work with the same actors all the time. I think the difference is that it's specifically family for him, right? And again, I think people don't seem to mind his brother, but most of what I see that makes people upset is that his wife shows up in everything. If his hands are in it,
be mad.
And
be mad.
Adam
Sandler's a good, good example.
A lot of people do it. It's just for most people, it's not family, so to speak. But again, like it is what it is. Like she's not terrible or nothing. Like I don't don't necessarily think she's great, but I don't think she's terrible. So, whatever. I do think that there are people who like Scorsese will work with people who are great actors who are like in the Oscar running and will put them in something else again or will work with them again. I also think that there are some directors who are harder to work with, and I think they tend to choose actors that can deal with them. I don't find that that's a thing with him, but Perp says what's crazy is most people don't even know who James Gunn's wife is. I don't think it matters though. I mean, look, if you don't know, if you watch his stuff, you'll figure it out.
Right.
He's the one joint that's in everything. But and look, there's maybe like little cameo piece. Look in this joint.
Yeah.
I almost pour something. Hey, listen, Perp, you almost got me, bro. I almost popped the spoiler. You almost got me. You almost turned me into jokes for a second. Yeah. Gamer Blue. What up, bro?
What's good?
Yeah, so look. Regardless of all of that, this movie is super well executed. Super well executed. Yeah, we'll be at Awesome Time.
Yes, we most certainly will be.
Yeah.
We'll be at Awesome Time. I actually just talked to somebody today about that. Which I'll fill y'all in later because but yeah, so I highly, if you did not see this movie, I highly recommend going and seeing this movie. If you have been down on the MCU and what the MCU is doing and like how well it's working or isn't, this is like, go see this. Jocelyn, what's up?
Hey,
Josh.
Yeah, like there's no like it really does hit on every cylinder. Again, the comedy is right, the action is right, the drama is right, the weight of what's happening is right. It all feels correct. So I dig it. Johnson said, I feel like I needed the context of the Guardians Christmas special that was on Disney Plus, though. Did you not see that and you felt like you needed it? Because there's really, I feel like, only two major things that happen that have to do with that, and they're not necessarily things they don't in some manner. They talk about it, but it would definitely be a surprise to you if you didn't see those things.
Yeah.
Okay. So, having not seen them, Jocelyn, I highly recommend going back and seeing that, going back and watching the Christmas special. It's not that long.
Yeah,
it's actually pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
It's really funny. Exactly, Perk. Yeah, the Mantis thing from the holiday special. The thing with that is that was the Mantis thing is something that was supposed to be in volume 2 that got cut, and so they put it in to the holiday special.
Yeah.
Then he said, I didn't see the Christmas special, and I was taken aback a little bit. It wasn't difficult to piece it together. Again, like they do what they can to try to fill in a good portion of the context. Like there's if you've ever played Mass Effect, there's an elevator scene in this movie that literally feels like you're in a loading screen from the first Mass Effect. And actually it's in
the trailers. Yeah.
Where Star-Lord is explaining all of what happened, like throughout everything and between him and Gamora and all of that. It really just kind of fills you in. It makes it quick, but none of it makes it feel like, oh man, I missed it, so I have to go back. But the truth of the matter is, like, I feel like you can watch this and enjoy it, even if you haven't, and then you can go back and watch those and get that context, and I think you would enjoy it even more. So, yeah, I highly recommend it. I highly recommend it. I plan to go see it again. I recommend doing twos. Let's see. Jocelyn said, yeah, it was easy to piece together. It just felt like there was context that would have added to the emotional weight of everything that I had initially missed out on. I mean, I don't think there's a lot of weight. It's some, but they don't lean into it so heavily in the movie that I think it
Yeah.
And, it hurt. Perp says those special presentations really work for Disney. With just Werewolf by Night and Guardians Holiday Special, I think that's the direction they need to go. I would agree. I mean, I definitely think that there's other stuff that they could do in that realm where just kind of like a single, like maybe an hour-long one-off that has some additional information or add some additional context to a story, especially to something you're already bought into. Werewolf by Night was great, but it's not really something you're already bought into. Now it's like we're waiting to see
how they take that too and how it's going to fit into
what it really means. For the Guardians, I think it was like the perfect kind of thing for them because so much about the Guardians is based in like that early 80s era, and special presentations like what they did with the Guardians Holiday Special are literally right out of that era. It just kind of falls completely in, with what they're doing. But yeah, Jocelyn, if you weren't watching us do this right now, I'd be like, yeah, go watch the Guardians.
Go watch it.
But instead, wait till we get done and then
go watch it.
Yeah, it's like Joe said, it's only like 45 minutes. Like it's not long. Yeah.
Perp says characters like Adam Warlock could have benefited from having an hour special. I think Adam Warlock could benefit from an hour special now. But I don't. Perp, watch Spoiler Boys and get back to me. I don't want. Yeah. Andrew said, I don't know if any of you got hopes seeing this that we can get a decent adaptation for Deadpool that won't feel PG-ified by Disney. I mean, if you're specifically referring to the F-bomb that's in this movie, I mean, this didn't help me. See, Jocelyn, this is why you're a star. Everybody go follow Jocelyn Short. You know what I mean? What a honestly, real talk, brilliant artist. Like seriously brilliant artist. So for everybody who's in here, if you're not already following Jocelyn Short on Instagram, please go do that right now. I'm gonna leave the name up there for a little bit longer, just so
easy for y'all. Just
well, also partially because it also is covering Joke's face a little bit, so it's funny to me. But yeah, I mean, look, I think that Disney is getting to a place where they have come to the realization that there's stuff, there are properties that they own that actually kind of need and or will benefit from not being PG-13, from getting beyond that. And I think that Deadpool and Wolverine are great places to kick that off. Look, this doesn't mean that like we're gonna get to see Sam Jackson go full Sam Jackson.
God, yeah, they will never. One time maybe, but
yeah,
we kind of got that already when he got dusted. He was saying it, and then
he almost But
Peter
even
Quill.
that again, they cut it. Right? And
Peter Quill hit that thing hard.
Let me tell you something. Even though I seen it already because it was in a trailer.
There was a trailer. I seen the show too.
I didn't see it. I saw it for the first time in the theater. So
bro, it was.
I was dying laughing.
It hit hard, bro. I was with it. Yeah, I mean, look, I think Disney's in the right frame of mind. I don't know how kind of the shakeup at the top with some of the movement is going to affect it. I don't know exactly how some of the layoffs are going to affect it. What I will say is right now, we don't have nothing if they don't get this whole writer strike thing completely figured out.
Yeah, that is facts.
That's going to affect everything. That's going to be game. It's going to be everything. So right now, what I would say is this is the perfect time if you haven't caught up on some stuff to go catch up. Because you're not getting anything new for a little bit. If it's not already done and cooked and in the books,
it ain't happening. You're not getting it.
You could forget it right now. So, I'll be honest. Now is like the best. It's gonna be the best time to go back and clear out your backlog. If you missed it, if you forgot it, if you haven't had a chance to get to it.
Yep, now's the time to do it. 100%.
You're about to be able to make some time for it if they don't get this sorted. I feel like they're gonna get it sorted. I just don't know how it's gonna go and when. But if it doesn't happen soon, then that backlog is gonna get real ugly real quick. Yeah. Like I think I said this like a week ago, the week before, whenever we first talked about the strike, and I was like, look, you're gonna start seeing streaming services heavily leaning into stuff they already own. You can start seeing advertisements and stuff that they have that's already ready to go.
Go back and watch such and such and such and such.
That's a good point. It's the best time to binge everything. Real talk. Facts. Never forget what happened to Heroes. Real talk.
Oh my gosh, that was a travesty.
Ooh.
Right. I mean, again, like if a show is like 3 seasons in, and you looking for some closure,
ooh, buddy.
Yeah, it's a bad time. So do like Jokes have been doing over the past couple weeks and go back and watch 24. Send to. Go
knock that out. Yep.
You know what I mean?
Good. Take your time on 24.
I mean, look, here's the thing. Sin has the luxury. A lot of you all have the luxury of being in an anime, and this strike isn't affecting that.
So,
no. Like this,
my shows are good right now.
There is a light.
Wouldn't matter for you.
SVU.
Hey, listen, yeah. I didn't gone back. I didn't watch SVU from the beginning. I have now caught.
Yeah, I think he's on season 3 now, something like that.
Yeah, I watched at the beginning. I'm like on season 20 now, but I pretty much have watched from like 20 on to where we are now. So I'm caught up on everything.
I'm about to go through Lost again at work.
Ooh, that's a good one.
I'm having an itch for it.
I don't like that. Let me drop a dime on that. Hey, so listen, there was some news I heard earlier today about like Nintendo basically gave their earnings report and they talked about how there's no new Switch coming this year. We talked about it during Snacking and Hanging, which is like our post show that we do for this show the second Tuesday of every month. It is a Patreon exclusive. If you want to hear what we think about that, that's where you should go. Go check that out. We're not going to talk about it here. Per se, anime, good money right now. Facts. Hey. If you're betting on anime right now, if you can get stock in a studio that does anime, now is the time.
Good. Yeah, they cranking over there. One Piece is
now is the time.
Again.
Movie theater.
My mind's too many times. I needed something new, so I started watching for the first time. That's real. Now we're gonna talk about new Xbox game that came out last week, Redfall. There's been a lot.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, has there been some discussion around this game? It is not reviewing well. It is really the first, like I would say, major tentpole release that is an Xbox exclusive. Mm-hmm. That is since their acquisition of Bethesda, which includes Arcane Studios / Arcane Austin, which is who is the developer that made this game. It is also their first title like that is a current gen exclusive. It is Series S and X. It is not available like on the older consoles. You can only run Redfall. You can only get it on this. So it is their first $70 title. Mm-hmm. So
Game Pass.
There's been a lot, and it's reviewing in like the low 60s, give or take. So Cuddy said, "You know it's bad when Phil has to apologize." What up, Cuddy?
Hey,
you're right, and we're about to talk about that. But we played Redfall last night.
We did.
We jumped in a rare 3-man squad.
So rare for that to happen nowadays.
Rare 3-man squad.
It was a good one. Look, we was having such a good time. We let it bleed into wrestling. Because it doesn't happen often that we all get together and play games together.
My man Perp said Redfall, aka Downfall, game is rough. You know what? Are you playing on PC? Hey, here's the thing. It was cool.
It was okay. We didn't run into like anything game breaking at all, or anything.
Game breaking. No major. Again, it's been a week, so I'm sure there's been some updates and whatever. Like day one, so I had it. I downloaded it early, right? Game Pass. So I had the early install. I had it installed. Then on the day it came out, it was like a 77 gig patch update that I had to do, which is a lot.
That is a hefty ass patch.
That's a lot.
We got to fix a lot.
Perp said I'm on the X. Okay, perfect. Perp, maybe we need to jump in and just run together because I got a feeling that like me and Sin are gonna need another player.
Facts.
I feel like me and Sin are gonna need another player.
Yeah, so go ahead and drop us your game tag. Yeah.
Doctor Who said rewatch The Fringe.
I haven't heard that.
I've never finished that. I don't think I ever saw the last season. I need to. Thank you for that reminder.
This like, all right, look, maybe because we were playing together, we were we were having a good time. Like, it was cool.
Yeah, I think that's something people
personally on the game is like, now I'm like, okay, we're having a good time. There's a team component to the game that I don't remember reading or seeing anything about. And here's one of the problems I have with all the reviews I saw. Every single review that I saw was a single player review. And I completely understand that there are people who want to play this game by themselves, and they're saying, yes, you can play this game by yourself. But they have always advertised this game as a multiplayer game. Mm-hmm. Like, this is a 4-player co-op game, run through the game with your friends, blah, blah, blah. And I know that a lot of people push back on that. I don't want to play with other people. I want to play. You just don't have friends. That's different, but that's okay. I understand if you want to play by yourself. There's a component to this game that literally tells you, like, as you play and you complete certain things with your friends, like, you actually build a better connection with the people that you're playing with. Mm. So, like, as you're playing, as you kill enemies together, complete certain objectives together, they show this icon that's like a handshake above your, above your, like a thumbs up / handshake above each of your icons.
And it tells you something like your relationship is strengthened, your friendship is strengthened, or something like that. Yeah.
And it opens up new dialogue and more dialogue trees between the different individual characters. So you kind of actually build out more of the backstories between the characters and things like that, which I just think is a very interesting component that they didn't really, I didn't really see anybody talk about or review that. I guess because they didn't play together. Again, they were playing pre-day one patch. So, I don't know. Like, everybody who I have heard talk about playing it together with other people have given it much better. I shouldn't say much better reviews, but better reviews. Have said like they had a good time with it. They enjoyed it. It's not great, right? It doesn't do anything super new. Mm-hmm. It's pretty by the book. It's pretty like paint by numbers. Go here, kill the vampires, open the safe house.
Open the safe house and keep it moving.
Yep.
There are still some mysteries there for me that I feel like are working. Like, there's some things we found that's like, okay, well, how do we do this thing?
Yeah, it's just one of the things we just got to get further down the line to get all that stuff. Yeah.
I mean, Sim, what are your thoughts?
I mean, it's not gonna lie. I was having fun playing it. You know what I mean? And yes, it may not be the greatest thing in the world, but I think a lot of people, when they review games, they forget, is the game fun to play? Like, yes, it may be glitchy. Yes, it's not 60 frames per second like they promised it would be. All that type of stuff. But are you having fun playing it at the end of the day, even with all that? And we were having a good time. So like you said, we still got a further down the line to go so we can check out people's abilities and see how the game plays once you really start building up your character and leveling them out. And, of course, there's stuff in the game they haven't taught us that will start popping up on the map and all that. It's just, you got to get into it more, but I wasn't mad at it last night. Like we said, we was having a good time. And once we finished with Dead Island, like, I'm fully committed to going back in and running and having a good time. Yeah,
100%.
We know how to have a good time with games.
And listen, I'm not even trying to be funny about it. I'm especially interested in what you think, Jokes, because you really don't jump in and do co-op stuff with us a lot. You play a lot of single player things. You do a lot of like adversarial multiplayer as opposed to doing stuff that's cooperative. So, and look, real talk, the minute the thing popped up on screen that was like, you need to work together and stay together as a team because it builds whatever.
This bastard right here.
Right, it's just kind of but I really am. I want to hear what your thoughts on it are.
Yeah, I think it was okay. Like, obviously, there's nothing groundbreaking new about mechanics or anything that we've gotten to so far, But I think at the base of this game is just the fact that it's fun to play with people. And I think, talking about it being that multiplayer aspect, maybe they didn't do such a good job at saying, you probably will experience the best out of this game playing it with friends. I think that could have been maybe a bigger push or a bigger play to do for it. I get it. Folks get in to get these games to do the reviews or whatever, but I still feel like at the end of the day, you need to focus on at one point in time, is it fun to play before you start to try to bash some of the small things like 60 frames per second. I get it. Folks want to have it. 60 frames versus 30 frames. It's not going to break you having fun playing a game like this. Honestly, don't think.
So I think, all right. So let me state a couple of the things that I think are what the real issues are with this. One, the 60 versus 30 thing. The issue with that specifically is that Microsoft did a specific piece with IGN where they showed the game and showed gameplay. It was running at 60 and it was on PC. At the time they did that, they knew PC was going to be 60 and that console was going to be 30. And they waited until the week before the game was coming out, or like 2 weeks before the game was coming out, to say console is going to be 30. Now, we can get into the Phil Spencer interview in a minute. He does kind of say that, like, we realized that, we tried to go back, but obviously it was too late for us to really work on doing that for console. But that part of the mixed messaging or mismessaging of that is the issue I really have with the 60 versus 30. If you had come out originally and said, hey, we're showing 30-second gameplay, this is PC, console is going to be 30, people would have hemmed and hawed, but they'd have known up front, and it wouldn't have felt like, oh, you showed us something that's not what we're getting. Okay. Right. That's the first thing. The second thing is this. While we were playing together last night and having a good time playing, and I do think that this is a game that benefits from playing with other people, the big issue is only the person who's hosting the game gets story progression.
That's garbage.
Gets story progression.
That's trash.
Now, you get your character still builds up. You still keep your levels and your weapons and all of that kind of stuff. But if you then go in and start your game, start on your own game, you are starting from the very beginning. You are not able to carry over story progression for your character when you play multiplayer together. That is the kind of thing that, to me, if you make a game that you tell people is really designed more to be played with people, you have to take care of that. That's not an okay thing to do for people. We are currently in the midst of running through Dead Island 2, which 1, looks stunning. 2, is next gen. 3, story progression carries over for everybody who's playing, and as a matter of fact, it won't even let you get into a story game with somebody else who's too far ahead of you.
Yep.
It will tell you can't enter this game. They're not close enough in the story to you. Now, if you're further than that, you can go back and help other people who, and replay missions. Again, all that does is give you more XP and you continue to level. Yep. So that, I do believe, is a serious issue. Because while we were having a good time, right now, of the three of us, I'm the only one who has any story progression.
Yep.
Now, you guys were popping achievements, right?
Yep. We're popping achievements.
Yeah.
Were you popping story-related achievements?
You know what? Probably not. Actually, no, I'm pretty sure.
Achievements, I think you were.
Yeah,
and
no,
if you're popping story-related achievements.
Why can't you
track? As long as you continue to play it all together, you kind of don't miss anything. Because that, I feel like, would be the really big thing for me. It's like, well, now I want to go play by myself. And that's cool because you can still continue to level up and you'll be early and it might be a little easier for you because you're leveled when you start the game or whatever. But if you're getting the achievements for progressing the story when you play with somebody else, at least you're not missing that. Now it's like, oh, I got to go back.
So
and play the story just to hit the achievements.
I got 4 achievements. None of them are story.
Yeah, so none of them are actually story things. So I'm comparing my achievements to yours, Gage. I have 5 achievements. You have 6. You have one more than I do.
Uh-huh.
So if you were getting, essentially, we were getting the exact same thing. I'm just see if the one is that.
And remember, you jumped in later. Sin and
Mhm.
I had already progressed and gotten. I want to say we had picked up at least one achievement before. How many do you have, Sin? Do you have 5 or
4.
6?
I got 4.
All right,
Yeah.
hold on. You have 4. Jokes. You have
I have
5,
5. Mm-hmm.
and I have 6.
Mm-hmm.
Well, all right. Is there a cutscene when you booted up for the first time and jumped
Yes.
into the game?
Yes.
Okay. See, when I came in, I didn't know what was going on. Like, I would just
Yeah,
sit in the
you
middle
just
of that.
showed up on the boat, and that
Yeah, and
was
I'm
it.
like, what's happening? So maybe you got something like you've
I
landed
don't
in the
think I
Redfall or
got one
something.
before. It's possible. I
Yes,
mean, I
the one that's
wasn't look.
different, the one that's different from that you have that I don't, was just disabling a tripwire. So you just did
Oh
one
yeah,
thing on
yeah,
that,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So that's one thing that you did that we didn't do. And that's it. Everything else are the ones that when we picked up certain artifacts or certain things that we picked up, most of those achievements are the ones that we have. Stake your first vampire, get your first grave lock, just from picking up stuff, unlock your
I
first
got
safe
a joint
house.
called "Loot Your First Unrivaled Item." That's stake your first vampire. All of this, none of this stuff seems to be tied to the story.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
haven't staked anybody yet. Yeah.
yeah. I don't
Unlock your
think
first safe house, loot
so.
your first
Here's
blood remnant, disable a tripwire,
there's
collect your
only
first vampire.
there's
Yeah,
only
none of it.
one. It looks like there's only one per story. Complete all main missions in Redfall Commons. That sounds like that's probably one of the
And
story ones.
and it's
Yeah.
possible that if we just keep playing together, as long
It'll
as you do
yeah.
all the story missions, you might unlock it.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, look, it's cool. I was having a good time with it. Still, it's a black eye on what I feel like is already a battered and bruised body that is Xbox right now and Xbox gaming. So let's kind of get into this Phil Spencer interview. Kind of funny, did an interview. Their XCast. They have Phil Spencer on. Joe, did you get a chance to listen to the interview?
Mm-hmm.
Since I know you did. Before we get into the specifics of the interview, I just want to know what your thoughts are on the interview. Not on the interview as a whole, but on Phil Spencer in this interview as a whole. Jokes, I'm gonna start with you.
I think he did a real good job, taking ownership. So even though that, he didn't like necessarily say that, oh, Arcane Studios did this bad. He focused on the fact that, what, this is something that I have to own up to, whether it be quality control or certain things. So I give him major props for not trying to point the finger or do anything like that for it.
Yeah.
But he was you could tell that without seeing his face, I'm sure he had a very straight face the whole entire
I
time.
saw his face because I listened to it and I watched it. I saw his face.
So I can only imagine just that straight look, but I commend him for just attacking this head on, because like one of the interviewers was talking to him, he could have easily said, you know what, I'm not going to do this interview, and kind of just moved away from it and just let it be. But he got in front of it, talked about it, and addressed some other things that we talked about in the beginning. So I commend him for doing those type of things.
I am posting a link to the interview on Spotify for anybody who wants to go and listen to it. If you do gaming or whatever at all, I highly recommend it. It's a really, really good listen. Sin, your thoughts on Phil Spencer in the interview?
I agree with Jokes. Like the sit down with the week he's had with the UK merger thing falling through and the release of Redfall being just terrible. To sit across from that heat like that and take it on the chin, like I said, not leave, not walk out, take the ownership like Joe said. Like I had to salute him for it. Like, okay, that's what a boss does. You know what I mean? We dropped the ball. I'm not gonna point fingers at people. Say we dropped the ball on this, on that, and over here, and we have to do better. So that's what gamers deserve. And I appreciated it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I feel the same way. I think it's just super uncommon to have someone who is a CEO basically I mean, he is the head of Xbox. I mean, he's not the CEO of Microsoft, but
Mm-hmm.
for all intents and purposes, he's the CEO of Xbox at Microsoft.
Yeah.
To have somebody have something like what happened with the CMA and have something like the release of Redfall happen kind of back to back,
Mm-hmm.
and not have somebody from PR be like, yeah, so this interview's not happening.
Mm-hmm.
Phil's not talking to anybody right now. We're not doing this. This is an interview that was planned way before this.
Mm-hmm.
And so to not back out is, I think, a big deal. But I also think to be super transparent, right? I think that most people in his position would have immediately started pointing fingers. Like I just don't. I think most people would have. Now, him taking it on the chin, him talking about Xbox and kind of where they are. And when I talk about the transparency, I mean like kind of admitting things and peeling the egg back and letting you see sort of how things actually work versus what you assume are the way things work. I think is a big deal. So, and I think for him to just simply say, listen, I recognize, I understand that you guys are trying, as the interviewers are trying to put a positive spin on this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not feeling positive. So you're going to have to kind of excuse me if you get cranky Phil.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Is
makes me think at one point in the interview. It makes me think at one point in the interview when I think it was the black guy. He said something, and he tried to pull it back. It feels like no, say what it is. Like just no, say what it is. Yeah, like we did that. We like I was like, wow,
yeah.
Okay.
At that point in the interview, Paris was saying, last year at the game showcase, you told us we were gonna get, all these games are coming out in the next 12 months, and he's like, you didn't quite hit that. And he was like, no, not we didn't quite, we didn't. Like just straight up, we didn't deliver. Like that kind of like, listen, you don't have to sugarcoat it for me. I know what we didn't do. You know what I mean? We didn't do that. I do have to give it up to the gentleman who did the interview. So Showbike Mike, this is a weird name, but Mike Paris, who is on Kind of Funny and Kind of on the XCast, but has also been on Gamertag Radio for like 12 years or something like that. And Gary Whitta, who is a member of the XCast, but is also like he's the person who wrote Book of Eli. He wrote Rogue One, Star Wars Rogue One. So this is a Hollywood industry writer, and he kind of talks about that. Some of his questions and stuff that he directs when he talks to Phil and talks about stuff that are going on with Phil, a lot kind of come from that realm. And I do think that him being there as a person who kind of lives in this realm as a creator, right, and how like everything doesn't always hit the way you wanted to hit, but that you have to take chances on doing something new. I think that kind of helped Phil, like through the interview. Yeah. But now I want to get into some of the specifics, because outside of some of the sense of vulnerability I think I got from Phil and Xbox, which, look, I know that there are people out there who are having a field day with this, which is understandable. There are a couple of quotes that I think are important for us to get at. When he was asked about the CMA and them blocking, he specifically spoke about, look, we're going to keep pushing, but he said, and I quote, Activision Blizzard King is not our strategy, but it is an accelerant for our strategy. What do you think that means, Sam?
I think whatever they have behind the scenes there's something behind the scenes that Microsoft is focusing on that they want to acquire through them. Like probably something to do with cloud services that they have, that technology they can include into what they're building as far as down the road. I think it's stuff like that is what they're looking for. So I think everything else is just a bonus. It's that proprietary software that is within these companies they would acquire is what they're trying to get to, I think, head towards cloud gaming to push it forward there.
Jokes?
Similar. I think, with like, let's just use World of Warcraft. I think getting the data and understanding how a game like World of Warcraft works, like that's not they don't Microsoft necessarily doesn't have a game like that, but to understand
Maybe
how
Minecraft, right?
Minecraft
Like,
would be the closest thing, but something on how you continuously build on top of this game and you keep it alive. Because World of Warcraft is decades old. And it's
sure.
like, how do we take something like that and incorporate that into, like, say, another project or something that we are leaning towards to kind of keep that type of longevity in there. And obviously, data is always going to be something to go after. So there's tons, with just the sheer amount of people that have played World of Warcraft alone, the amount of data that you can obtain and learn
Or
some things
continuing
from
to play
there.
it. Yeah.
Absolutely, the way that things are played, where they're played, I think that's going to be the play for it. Because clearly, when he said that, like, Activision Blizzard King is not the go get, that was just like, hey, listen, we're just trying to acquire them just to get to the top of the mountain in there. So this is going to be a nice little addition to the Microsoft name.
Yeah.
But there's a bigger playing process here, and like I caught on to that when he said that too. I was like, ooh, oh, you scheming again? You over there scheming again?
Well, I mean, within that line of questioning, when he responded to what happened with the CMA, he did say, like, I feel like, we've been in talks with them and dealing with them for like over a year now, right? And I guess at no point did the CMA really make it clear, I guess, what their actual issues were with like the cloud portion of it, which is what they say they blocked it for. And so his feeling of like, they blocked us for something that they feel like, that I feel like isn't even a thing yet. Like, technically, cloud-based gaming, it isn't even really a thing yet, but they seem to feel like we have, or we would gain an unfair foothold within this space without that. But again, he wants to push back, but his thing was that combination of companies isn't what the plan is. It's just part of the plan. It's something to help move the plan forward. I do believe that plan includes cloud gaming, but I also believe that for them, that plan is less about cloud gaming and more about the marketplace. That's what I think it is. So we've talked before about how King really puts them in a position in mobile they just don't exist in. They don't have, right? Call of Duty mobile puts them in a position with something they don't really have. When you're a company like Microsoft that has been in the middle, but also kind of on the side of, hey, Apple's kind of running a monopoly with what they do with the App Store, and Google's kind of running a monopoly with what they do with the Google Play Store. If somebody else is going to come in and open that up, right? There's Steam, and Steam kind of has a monopoly in the PC gaming space. There is Epic, who came in to fight in that space, but they're talking about, to me, owning a market, right? Being able to open up their own marketplace that is either PC gaming / mobile gaming / console gaming, kind of all in one place, that competes with these other companies that kind of do have a monopoly in there, that, and needing to be able to have ownership over the content so that you actually have a library to sell to people. Because in Microsoft's experience, trying to battle somebody like, shout out to Guardians of the Galaxy, trying to battle Apple and the iPod when they already have such a strong foothold in music and in downloads of music and now streaming music, trying to do the Zoom and fight your way into that when they have such a tight foothold on it and such control over it is almost impossible, right? So how do you do that? You have to have ownership over product to actually put in the store. Otherwise, you can't do anything with the market. So I think that them wanting to acquire this company, again, isn't about, let's take these games away from these other places. It's let's be the ones who own it, though, and they can sell it wherever they want, right? Like, because That's how we intend. The market share that we're looking at in consoles isn't what we're going after anymore. As he said in this, and we'll talk about this, they lost that race.
Mm-hmm.
That's already over. He was asked about what goes into the decision to delay a game, which I think is important when we talk about Redfall, when we talk about the fact that, they push back Starfield, that they push back Halo, that they, for a game to come out and get the kind of reviews that Redfall got, and for it to be not just that maybe some of the game isn't as good as people want it to be, but for it to be buggy. I want to make a very direct comparison. Star Wars Jedi Survivor is probably the most broken game that has released since Cyberpunk. It's broken on console, it's broken on PC, and people are pissed off that they paid for this game and it's not working. It's not right. That it crashes multiple times. However, people are like, yo, the game is so good and there's so much here and I'm having such a good time playing it, but the bugs suck. And for them to be like, this joint has bugs in it that were bugs in the last game. What is this, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's still reviewed at like 9s, 8s and 9s, even though it is a broken, in some cases, unplayable mess for people, right? For some reason, it still got a pass. I think the difference is that this is an IP that people love. I think the difference is that this is a sequel to something that was a game people already love, and that people are looking forward to another one. I think Star Wars is on such an upward incline, right? That they're moving up. So people wanted it and they wanted to be good and it works for them. Like they have a good time playing it, but it's broken and it's buggy and it's whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in my opinion, that should not be forgivable, even though those are things that they can go back and fix.
Mm-hmm.
This doesn't get that. But it's on the back of so much disappointment already, right? In what they have released, how it's been received, how good it is, what the story is like, and it's a new IP. So, his response to being asked what goes into making the decision to delay a game, why didn't you delay this for another 3 months, for a year, whatever it takes, right? His response was like, if a game, if the vision is there and what they're trying to do with the vision isn't quite there, that's different. Like, that's not a reason to delay the game, right? We want to try to do something new. We want to do something that really hasn't been done before. We're trying to do something that we haven't done as a developer before. That's not a reason to delay the game, right? Let's put it out there and see what people think of it. The decision to delay a game is the bugs, the, whatever. And that's kind of what goes into the difference of it. What I found most interesting is that he was asked specifically about mock reviews, right? Don't you guys do, like any big game like this is going to come out, you do mock reviews. You remember what he said about how their internal reviews came out, Jokes?
I remember him saying like he doesn't really pay attention to like the reviews and things like. I think he was talking about the actual ones for it.
No, he said that their internal mock reviews, that the actual reviews that came out were double digits lower,
yeah,
than their internal mock reviews. Sin.
Yeah.
What game do you think the mock reviewers were playing?
It wasn't Redfall, apparently. That's crazy that they had it way higher than what the public's reception of it was. Like, are the mock reviewers just
10 points, right? So if it's reviewing in the low 60s on average, let's just say for the sake of it that like we're talking low 70s is something that it was getting in there, which isn't
which
great.
is good. Yeah,
But it's good.
Yeah.
You know, he said like we don't aim to put out a game that's going to score in the low 60s. So like if something we were doing had shown that that's where it was going to be, we wouldn't have done it. Like we would have just, you know what I mean? But I know also that mock reviews a lot of times are done on incomplete versions of the game. That is like you're not getting a mock review on the final build.
Right.
And so it kind of makes me wonder like what the point of mock reviews are if that's the case. But you know, you're not doing it based on that. So I feel like if it was me who was in charge and the mock reviews were like 70 something, I'd probably been like, all right, we got some things we need to work on. Let's figure out like why is it reviewing like that? What is it? And I probably would have decided to delay it.
Makes sense to me.
However, and this is kind of what I want to get into in terms of like the state of the industry and what things are and what the strategy is. That strategy that's different. I think that because Game Pass is a thing, I think that's part of why. I'll just be honest with you. And I say that because while we all played it and we all were enjoying the time we were playing with it, if it wasn't on Game Pass, bro, if I paid 70 beans for it,
I'd be hot. I'd be extremely hot.
I might feel real different.
Yeah.
But let's go beyond 70 beans. If I was like, I'm about to buy this joint for 70, but I don't want to pay it by myself, so you need to grab this joint too. Jokes. I know you don't ever play games with it, but you need to grab this joint too. And collectively, right? We spent $210 on it. Might be like, hey dog, you owe us some money.
I need to be reimbursed.
At the same time, if the joint did come out and was getting like 70s, I believe that there are people who don't have Game Pass who would be like, I'll jump in for a month. I'll pay $10, you know what I'm saying, and jump in and play it. You know what I'm saying? And then if I don't like it or I don't find something else, I'm out.
Yeah.
But with it reviewing the way it's reviewing, you don't get that. You don't get even a slight Game Pass push. So you're going to see players. You're going to see people playing it on Game Pass like you see us because we already have it. We in there.
Right.
I think that probably has something to do with that decision. It's on Game Pass.
Game Pass. Yep.
It's on Game Pass. It's, you know, anything that's first party Microsoft is Game Pass.
It's gonna be in Game Pass. Day one.
So for me, it's like I'm in there. Like I'm.
Yeah, it's no sweat. It's no sweat to us. We all got Game Pass. Like, all right.
And if we don't like it, it just gets deleted off the box. And
that's the hardest thing about it is, do I already have space on the hard drive for this?
Bruh.
Yeah.
Am I going to move something else to make space for it? That's, again, I did the pre-download, and then on day one when it was like, oh,
we got a
77 gig update. You might be asking for a lot.
Now we got to move and shake, move things around.
Bro, I don't move and shake for free. So, here's kind of where I want to get, because again, he was asked about their failure to deliver on the 12-month promise. But I think this is probably one of the most important pieces of the interview. Towards the end of the interview, you know, they just asked him, like, you know, about the showcase coming. And, you know, he's saying, like, look, I'm not going to sit here and brag about showcase. Because right now, if I was on the other side of this listening to this interview, I'd just be like, I don't care what you say, Phil. Put the game in my hand and let me see. I don't care nothing about what you say, because nothing else you have said in terms of the games has hit, right? But he said, and I quote, "We have a different vision. we're not in the business of out consoling Sony or out consoling Nintendo. I think that's key. But and it sounds like he gets a little bit upset as he's saying this, right? But he's like, I hear it, I see it out there. People seem to think that like just build good games and people will come. And it's like, nah, it's just not true that if we just go off and build great games, all of a sudden you're going to see console shares shift in some dramatic way. Like it's just not happening, right? He says, little bit, Ellis, welcome to the show, bro.
Hey.
He specifically says, we lost the worst generation to lose in the Xbox One generation, where everybody built their digital library of games. 90% of the people every year who walk into a retailer to buy a console are already a member of one of the three ecosystems, right? So this was when everybody built those digital libraries. And he's like, now you're already in that ecosystem. And we lost that generation. If you're a PlayStation gamer and you're now ready to buy a PlayStation 5, if you already had a PlayStation 4, you have these games, you have this library that already exists, which then makes so much more sense to me about the initiatives that they were pushing at the beginning of this generation, where it was like, nope, everything on the old joint just works. It comes over. It's why they did technology like, you know, having something just like you put it in and it figures out which one is the best one and it just works, right? Like all that kind of stuff is stuff that makes sense when, if in the back of their minds, if what they're building, they're like, look, we're not going to win the console race, so we're not chasing console anymore. We have to go after something bigger. What they're going after is a marketplace. What they're going after is mobile. What they're going after is cloud. But it is about getting on every device and being everywhere, so they don't really have to worry about just winning console. They're third. He said it. When you're third and they're as great as they are, you're not just gonna, like he literally said, there is no world where Starfield comes out and is an 11 out of 10 and people just start selling a PS5. I gotta give me an Xbox. Not gonna happen, right? It doesn't mean people won't buy an Xbox to play it. It doesn't mean they won't play it on PC. It doesn't mean they won't play it on their TVs if they can play it through cloud.
But not getting rid of their systems.
It's not going to make
the console sales jump up.
Yeah. It's not going to make Sony lose market share because they not going to get rid of their PS5. They still want to play Spider-Man.
And you ain't got no other choice but to play that on your PS5.
Exactly.
So there's no point.
Yeah.
Exactly. So the recognition that they're no longer in that race, which before it was like, the words were like, we don't view Sony consoles as our competition. Yeah. We don't view Nintendo as our competition. We're looking at other places. We talked about and assumed, okay, they must be talking about Stadia. They must be talking about like Amazon doing Luna. They must be concerned about Google and what they're doing. Now, when I really look at it, I think, yes, they're thinking about Google, but they're talking about Android and the marketplace. They're talking about Steam and the marketplace. They're talking about Apple and their marketplace and being able to sell everywhere. As you said, I guess I was different from others. I had Xbox with a PS5. No. I mean,
you made the decision to go to one of those newer consoles. Now, I don't know the same thing. Certain title may have piqued your interest, and you know what? You made the decision.
All Miles Morales.
There it is, right there. I'm not mad at that at all.
I'm not mad either.
Reasons like that is why I try to own those big three. Just have a PlayStation, Nintendo, and an Xbox, and whatever game comes out I want to play, I'm good.
It's in the right place, and I'm good to go.
Ellis said I jumped over to PlayStation because of Spider-Man No Regrets.
Again,
here's the thing. I never jumped from one to the other. I have a preference. I prefer playing on Xbox. I like the controller better. I like the way Xbox Live works better. I love Game Pass. Sony has exclusive titles I want to play. So I need a console to play those titles, right? Not everybody can do multiple consoles. Not everybody can afford to do multiple consoles, right? So if you have bought into an ecosystem and you have spent thousands of dollars to be there, you want to feel like it was worth it for you to do so. And while if you've done that and you also have Game Pass, which again, like, I guess if you have a PlayStation 5, you don't have to have PlayStation Plus, Essential, Extra, and so forth. I mean, if you play online, you do, right? But I wouldn't say, depending on what you want to play, I wouldn't say that it's like you need to have it. I felt like in the 360 era, if you had an Xbox 360 and you didn't have Xbox Live Gold, you were tripping. You need gold. You need to be online. You need whatever. Like, you're missing something. In this era, in this generation, I feel like if you have an Xbox Series, you need to have Game Pass. So you are spending that additional amount monthly to have this on top of that. Yes, it's less than you would spend to buy like their individual games. And if they can actually land the cadence they promised of having a tentpole game that is exclusive hit every quarter, then 4 games at $70 a piece far outweighs what you pay for Game Pass.
Easily, yeah.
But if it wasn't for Game Pass, I'm out. I'm out. There are a lot of games and a lot of experiences that I have that I get from Game Pass that I enjoy. And some of them are stuff that otherwise I probably wouldn't bother to touch. I wouldn't play it. You know what I mean? And to be honest, in this case, Redfall is one of them.
Oh, yeah.
The way that Redfall was reviewing, if it wasn't for Game Pass, you wouldn't be able to sit here and listen to me say, actually, we played it and we had a pretty good time.
Oh, no, we're good. We're good.
I feel like I'm not going to find out. Because that's not even at a place where I'm like, maybe when it goes on sale. Because I do that to 8s now. Because I don't have time. I don't have time to play everything.
Very true.
So it's a little different. Andrew says, I feel Xbox is great for TV streaming because I use it for that. PS does not have some apps to stream shows. I mean,
it's the same both streets though. There's things that's on the Xbox that's not on the PlayStation. There's things on the PlayStation that's not on the Xbox. So
as far as streaming,
like which one? I believe it's Fight. One of the streaming services, like where I can order certain wrestling paper, does like the boxing and certain fight mixed martial arts. It's not on the Xbox, but you can get it on PlayStation. So there's a few that are like that you may have to be able to enter on, but like obviously Netflix, Hulu, your Disney Plus, your big ones like that, you don't have to worry about it.
I mean, there are some things, right, that make sense when it comes to that realm, right? Because Sony is an entertainment company first and foremost. Not first and foremost. They're a hardware company first, but they're a huge entertainment company, right? They are Sony, they are Columbia, they're Columbia Pictures, they're Epic, not Epic the game studio, but Epic Records, Arista. All of that falls under them, right? Their ability to do a game like Spider-Man as an exclusive title comes from the fact that as a company, as Sony, the company that makes movies, they already have this deal in place with Disney. That's part of how that works. So it does make sense that there could be services that are possibly owned by Sony, or they have content that's there or whatever that gives them, access to that. That makes sense to me. Ellis said, I had no reason to stay on Xbox after driving up to Maryland and whooping the majority of E Nation and Halo.
Oh no.
Hey, let me tell you what's funny about that is, I don't think that ever happened.
I don't no recollection here.
I don't recall that ever happening.
Nope.
So when he says a majority, he must be talking about people other than you and I, Sin.
Yeah, because that didn't happen.
I also kind of feel like we might have all been on the same team, but I mean, just saying. We used to play the old heads versus the young heads.
Oh yeah, I just had a flashback to tennis matches.
Woo! Stop.
That's a flashback.
Look, there we go. Ellis said, you were on my team. Here we go. My man said, look, here it is. Wham. Sid got that whooping.
Don't recall that. Don't recall that.
Like that. I'm gonna drop a dime on that, huh?
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Look. Right now, I think that we're in a very, very interesting place. What up, Hef?
Hey.
Hey.
I think we're in a really interesting place in terms of like the direction that each of the console manufacturers is going.
Mm-hmm.
Sony is obviously focused on the console and in driving specifically console sales. They don't have a foothold in cloud. They could if they partner with the right people.
Right.
But they partner with Microsoft. They have partnered with Amazon. My man said that woman gave you memory loss like the Velveteen Dream. I mean, listen, Ellis. Let's hold on. That was like 20 years ago, which is not even like that's not an exaggeration. That was like 20 years ago. That was like Halo 2.
Right.
like OG Xbox.
Hey, running the cables from the upstairs room all the way down to the basement.
What? The little Linksys joint.
Yes.
That was the radio signal joint between the two, the system link, the boxes.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, hey, we old. Yeah, like Nintendo saying they're not releasing a new Switch until at least next year. It's like, hey, dog, they're already like 2 generations
behind the 8 ball. And we're waiting at this point now. We're close to seeing PS5 Pro or a Series X Plus. I don't know, whatever you want to call it.
No, don't remember that happening.
Yeah, like so far behind. So when the new Switch comes out, I guess it's like PS4 Pro, maybe.
Right.
Like whatever the next joint they do, again, they're just like in their own field. Mm-hmm. And the fact that
they're in that lane and they can
hold in handheld, I think allows them to do what they're doing. I have a hard time really seeing Nintendo coming out with a singular console next that isn't also portable. Like if they don't do the same thing, like if they just go, nah, we're just going home console, no portable.
That is not there's not the way to go.
I don't care if they have Zelda. I don't care if they have Mario. If all they have is a home console, they're gonna lose. I just not lose, but like they'll lose a lot. Like it's just not even gonna be close to the same. It will be another Wii U. That's how I feel about that. They're in a position uniquely within the marketplace as one of the 3 main manufacturers of a console to continue doing what they're doing and allow you to do it on the go. So as long as they can get the tech right, and there's no reason why they shouldn't be able to get the tech right if the Steam Deck exists.
Oh yeah.
There are competitors to the Steam Deck now.
And I'm thinking about the Asus, the Ally, the ROG Ally. I am really thinking about getting that. Like I love Asus.
Specifically, Phil brought up
name dropped. I was like, oh, okay.
I mean, Game Pass, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if other companies can continue to do that and do that well and can produce games that run like they run on a PC at that high fidelity, Nintendo might be in trouble. They might actually be in trouble depending on price point. Mm-hmm. Because the price point for a Steam Deck and for what they're asking is ridiculous. It's ridiculous for most people. Where like a Switch at like $300 or $400 versus those at like $600.
Yeah.
Plus like PC and finagling and changing things and like it's not plug and play, so it's not the same. But if somebody figures that out before Nintendo manages to really make that happen, they could be in trouble. Hev says, I agree, Nintendo will have to go the cheap price route to keep up. And to be honest, that also means that Nintendo has to stay behind the 8 ball in terms of tech. in terms of the quality of the picture, in terms of like what, because if they try to catch up with any of that stuff, then the price point they're going to have to put on it
It's got to go
is
closer
going
to
to have
those.
to be pesky. It's going to be
Disgusting, and that's disgusting.
now. What I would not be surprised to see Nintendo do. Let me take that back. I'd be surprised, but I think it would be smart. Would be for them to go the route that Microsoft went in, like, we have a Series S and we have a Series X. So for the people who want to pay the extra money to get that extra, you pay this and you get this. If Nintendo was to release two versions of, let's just call it the Switch 2, if they release two versions, one that is the upgraded full 4K, 60 frames, blah, 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 and it was like 600, and they had one that was like 400, that was like 1080p 60 or 1440p 60 with a slightly better screen or something like that.
That could be a good trade-off, and that would.
I think they might be able to pull it off if we can keep up with the chipsets and we can get the screens, because that's the other thing that's going to hurt them. I have said, or Nintendo will come out with some sort of new community aspect that will take effort. I mean, again,
they kind of done
the
community.
They're online, right? Because that is probably their biggest issue. But I have to imagine that whatever it is they're doing something that Microsoft has had some sort of an eye on when they're like, oh, here's a 10-year deal. We're going to put Call of Duty on whatever y'all have for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that makes a lot of sense. Andrew said, I'm still waiting for my Panasonic 4D or Atari 3000. Hey, look, man. You know, that, I mean, you could go back and get 4D boxing. I don't think a 4DO is ever gonna happen. Hey, for real, if you waiting on that, you might as well just go get you a Neo Geo, bro. Sony is still in a place where they're like, yep, PlayStation 6, we're gonna drop it. We're gonna do our best to force you to have to get the console to be able to do A, B, and C. And I think if not for the pandemic, things would be very different in terms of like what Sony was trying to push at the beginning of this. You know, at the beginning of this, we'll call it console race. Where again, Microsoft, I think at this point, this is the first time I feel like, I mean, look, I've looked at what they say in the CMA proceedings and with the FTC and all that, but this is the first time I feel like I've heard an executive publicly say, like, to an audience, like, we're in third place and we lost. Like, there is no coming back from that. So we're doing something different, right? So whatever it is that happened at Microsoft that made Microsoft decide to pivot into a place where, yes, Xbox is a thing worth continuing to pursue, absolutely has to do with whatever this strategy is that he's talking about, that Activision Blizzard King is a part of, but it's just an accelerant of. It's not the strategy. It's part of the strategy. And again, for me, I think it's about the marketplace. Right, I think it's about, if you look at the places where you can go to buy games, who owns them? Name them for me. They are Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, Steam, Epic, Google,
Amazon.
Apple. But Amazon sells games for other. It's not, Amazon is a marketplace and they have market share. But Amazon is a bit more like going into Target to get a game, even if you buy, like, because you can go to Target and buy like the digital card, or GameStop or whatever. But I guess Amazon, in terms of Luna, they don't have any market share though, right? But Apple has major market share. Android, Google has major market share because there are no other places to buy games and apps on a phone. That's it. It's just them. Wow. So if you are, there is people talk a lot about the monopoly, but there is a such thing as a duopoly. And that is an issue. And if somebody is going to come in as a third party to try to disrupt that, and they need to have an actual fighting chance to do something and take some market share, they have to. They absolutely have to be able to do that. And they need to have product to sell. And that's where Activision Blizzard King comes in. Ellis says, have you talked about how Amazon's upcoming NFT / Web3 marketplace opening up on the 15th? Nope.
Oh.
Nope. But again, we know they have that strength to do that. They like the kinds of deals that exist outside of this country for product, for property, for all that kind of stuff is, and again, that's a marketplace the majority of the buying public isn't going to get into for probably another 5 years. Right? You kind of have to be in a specialized place to be in that. But like, everybody has a phone. 5-year-olds have phones. They play games on those phones. Yep. Microsoft wants Game Pass on those phones. They want you playing Fortnite through them on those phones. But if you have an Android phone, you must go through their marketplace. If you don't have an Android phone, you have an Apple. That's it. If you want to buy something, you have to do it through them. And when you look at what Apple is doing in closing the market, like Apple is closing in on banks. You can open a savings account with Apple and they will give you 4%. Most banks only give you like 0.02%. If you're already doing your banking, paying for things, using your phone anyway, all through your Apple, and it's all tied in some way to your Apple account anyway, why wouldn't you take your money out of the bank and put it there? It makes perfect sense to me. They will disrupt the marketplace, but they will own so much of the marketplace, you won't be able to do anything else. Anything. Yeah. 4% is crazy. It's absolutely crazy. He also said, could you see Apple, Google getting into producing portable gaming system to compete with the market? Apple and Google already have that. They're called your cell phones. They make so many billions of dollars from the 30% that they take of everything that is purchased through their, which is what the whole Fortnite thing, suing Apple and pulling it off the marketplace was about. Because there's nowhere else to sell their product, you have to go through them, and they take 30% no matter what. It's their store. It's their marketplace. So no, everybody, you already own an Apple or an Android gaming platform. That's it. Tablets, phones, even like if you think about it, even laptops, right? Like Google has there are like netbooks. They're like Chromebooks.
Oh God.
But they're there, right? Could we see phones becoming controllers for consoles? They already are.
They already are.
Yeah.
They already are.
Dog, I do when I come in here, I use my phone to cut my box on. Like literally, I don't even grab the controller. I just open my phone up as soon as I get in the house, power up.
You could literally use your phone. Like you can use your phone to control Apple TV and play games right through there. You got Apple Arcade. Again, another marketplace where they're doing games and they're doing gaming and they're finding ways to put it on your TV, which is encroaching on space that has generally belonged to console manufacturers like Sony, like Microsoft. It just, that market is so wide, right? But there are people who are playing in that space that have ownership of it, and it's pretty much just Apple and Google. That's it. That's it. Like, if you have a Roku, and a lot of people do, if you have a Fire Stick, and a lot of people do, right? You can play games on a lot of those, but they're Android. They run on an Android operating system, and therefore you are paying Google to have and play those games on your TV. If your TV is a smart TV and you can play games on it, download your apps on it, watch your stuff through it, guess what? It's Android. Google owns that. It's in every TV. I don't care if it's an Insignia. I don't care. Roku is built into some TVs, but Roku runs on Android. Period.
Mm-hmm.
That's the marketplace that I think Xbox and Microsoft is looking at when they're like, listen, we're going to keep making consoles, dog. We didn't forget about you. And we absolutely want you to feel like you're special because you have our console. But we're trying to get into a bigger field here, right? That makes sense. Tablet market is underrated and Apple owns it. I mean, I listen. There are a lot of people out there who have Android tablets. A lot of them. Most people, I think, if you have an Android phone, probably have an Android tablet, but not necessarily. 3 to 90, Apple owns it. That's not good math. That's not.
Math ain't mathing.
Nah, 10 to 90 is good math. But Apple has, again, they don't have a monopoly because Apple doesn't have the foothold outside of the US that it has in the US. You're talking US numbers. We're talking worldwide numbers because that's what Microsoft is looking at. They're looking at worldwide. Like Microsoft probably realistically has a monopoly on Office, like offices. Businesses run their stuff.
Oh yeah,
in Word,
yeah.
PowerPoint, Excel. You can get that stuff on Macs. Google has their own versions of it, and there are people who use it. Like people use Google Slides. I have used it. It jokes.
Mm-hmm.
We're on the internet right now.
Mm-hmm.
What browser are you using?
Chrome.
Oh, who owns that?
Google.
Oh, all right. What are most of y'all watching us through? Are you on YouTube right now? Who owns that? I'm just saying. Like it's if you're watching on Twitch, you know who owns that? Amazon. And they own most of the web. So it's like I really think that this whole thing of like, oh, he's talking about ages.
Now that math.
That math. Hey,
Yeah.
Greg. My bad, G. You can give an iPad to a 3-year-old as a wrap. I mean, I agree. But here's the thing. Have you seen a 3-year-old using an Android tablet? Because guess what? Those Fire tablets
Oh my god.
that go on sale every year Black Friday,
Dog.
guess what they are?
Dog. Them
Guess what kids are
Digiland,
learning on?
Digiland tablets.
Hey, bruh.
Them little 20
They're
30
Android.
Bruh.
Listen, you are missing. Look, you forgot Kindles? They run on Android. They are Amazon devices. They run on Android. If it doesn't run on Apple, it runs on Android. It's my man said, yeah, it's not as fun. I mean, to you, kids don't know that yet. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's straight up half generation of the tablet babies. You know what I mean? They can do it blindfolded. They know what it is. They know how to work. It's certainly is more intuitive now than like, you know, what we had to do with. But again, like as a kid, it was impressive that like my daughter knew how to work a DVD player. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sure it was impressive that like I knew how to work a Betamax or whatever, right? So, Dr. Who said our son uses Fire tablets, Android. My daughter, who is an Apple head now, started out Fire tablets. Man, she had so many of them stupid things. I'm just going to sell Black Friday. People just be giving them. Here you go.
Buy it. There you go.
A whole tablet. You know, and it'd be the tablet with the big old, like, the protective joint around it.
Yep.
You know, bro. I think I told you, I just stopped paying for like the kids Amazon. Like you get all these books and all this stuff that you could just have, bro. That joint was just eating at my bank account, bro.
My little cousin just got one of them little tablets talking about for a birthday. As soon as we went over there with the family, hey, London, you go ahead and set this up for her. I'm like, what is this thing, bro? All right, cool. Come here, girl. Let me set that.
I give my 8-year-old grandson all of it. He likes the iPad. Hey, listen, I'm not mad. Well, Ellis, this is for you, bro. You know what I'm saying? That's for you. You know what I mean? Like it's okay to be the odd man out. Yeah, look, I think what we have right now in terms of video games and console gaming is we have 3 companies that are going in 3 completely different directions.
Mm-hmm.
And that there is still a battle for the console space that mostly exists between Sony and Microsoft because the parity between their machines is so close.
Mm-hmm.
Nintendo's not in that battle anymore because they lost that battle a long time ago, and I just think they know they can't compete, and if they wanted to compete, it would make them too expensive. But if they, like I said, if they wanted to, and they dropped like a $600 Switch 2,
right?
They was like, I mean, Sin, if you had to pick between a $400 Switch 2 that was like 1440p, 60 frames a second, and a $600 Switch 2 that was 4K, 60 frames, which one are you going with?
I'm gonna get the 4K one.
I know, dog. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Andrew says, shoot, we learned how to browse with the AOL. Now kids browse with the mouse. Hey, look, like they browse with their fingers, bro. Like they don't even,
Tell them there was a time you could not talk on the phone and be on the internet at the same time.
They don't even know what dial-up is, dog. So they don't know what a landline is. Nope. It's a landline. Good for them. I'm happy for them. That's the future I always wanted. You know what I'm saying? I'm just glad to be like cognizant enough to enjoy it. Like,
right.
They like, but it's so like normal to them that like for me, I'm like, yo, I remember being a kid, like, yo, what if everything was just a touch screen every day, all day? They don't know nothing but that. So I'm like, in their heads, they're like, yo, what if everything you could just think about it and it did it? I'm like, when they kids come out,
that's what's gonna be.
That's what's gonna be.
They're gonna be like, man, y'all got it so good. We used to have to touch our screens. Like y'all so weak. You know what I mean? Like, y'all so weak. You don't even know how to touch a screen good. Like, again, when I tell people, like, man, kids don't even know how to hang up on nobody.
No. Ain't nothing like that slamming.
That slam.
Nothing like that.
And had to fight over the phone. Like, man, forget you.
Bam. You don't even get that sound effect on the other end no more. Nothing.
It don't mean nothing. Like when they get hung up on, you know how like when you talking to somebody on your cell phone and they hang up, you hear that little doo doo doo.
I was just thinking about that right now. Like that's the best y'all get.
Polite. It's like
that's what y'all get.
Oh, okay.
Nah, that's all sweet.
Nah, that click.
We get hung up on.
And nothing like slamming the phone down on somebody.
And then that person did it and missed the
click. What? Shoot, nothing like it, bro. Nothing like it. They don't know nothing about that. Listen, it's been a long show, so we're gonna wrap this up. I need to take a special moment. Thank everybody for hanging out tonight. We had a long discussion. We talked about a lot of different things. Sin.
Yep.
You got to do Jokes' job,
mm-hmm.
even though Jokes technically could do it the way you did it, and had like 2 hours to figure it out and get ready for it.
He already volunteered, so there was no need to do it.
Hey, Dr. Who said everybody hit that like button. Please do. Look, if you want to hear more conversations like this, make sure you tuned in every Tuesday, 8:30. Get it popping. We do this. My man said rotary phone. Oh no, Mama said rotary phones are museum pieces. That's an absolute fact. They don't know. I like touch tone phones are museum pieces.
Dog, show these kids a payphone. That like you see a random payphone. Like if it ain't working, it's at least the shell of it that you can still see it.
Hey, dog, listen. I'm gonna tell you how, as a comic book head, for a minute I was like, "Hey, payphone's going away. How Superman gonna turn into Superman? How Clark Kent going?" That used to be my man's trick. He used to jump in the payphone in order to change into Superman.
Oh God, come walk out one day. Yo, where the payphone booth go to? Oh yeah, they yank that
Hey,
joint
dog,
down.
listen. When I figured out that Lex Luthor was so far ahead of Superman, he was like, I'm
All these
about to make mobile phones. I'm getting rid of all the pay phones. He'll never bother me again.
Terrible.
Lex Luthor is diabolical, son.
man, gonna have to
It's
just go
all working in the background.
find the porta potty.
I don't even need kryptonite. Just get rid of all of these pay phones, bro. Ain't no more phone booths, dog. Hey, dog, listen, Asen, I know how much you hate Superman. You ain't never think about the fact that he could get shut down just by removing all. Get rid of all the phone booths and Slim is weak.
And my brain is going 1,000 miles an hour right now, just thinking of different scenarios.
Lex Luthor, hey, he go extra mile. He'll put kryptonite in one of them, all like every single one of them.
No, the lights, LED kryptonite lights. As soon as he walks in,
No,
like,
hey, listen, no, the red lights in one place, the kryptonite Joe's like on the floor when he steps in there.
Ooh.
Hey, bro, y'all doing too much. I just like that it's a business decision. I'm just gonna make pages and cell phones, and we're not gonna need phone booths no more. We just gonna systematically remove phone booths. My man ain't gonna have no way to
systematically remove Superman.
Straight up. It's just a business move. You know what I'm saying? It's like a straight up 50 Cent move. Like, I'm shutting Ja Rule down. You ain't getting no money out there. Like, Superman is done.
It's called Superman Ja Rule.
Like, Luthor 50 Cent, dog. Like, oh, it's terrible, bro. Hey, look, like I said, man, if y'all tune into this joint every week, we're gonna have something for you. Thank you for putting the Beacons link up everywhere, Sin. I appreciate that. Y'all jump on that Beacons link. That is the best place to find us across the board, all socials, wherever we are. You go there because we're there. You can access our merch site there if you want to get a nice dope hoodie like this, or the t-shirt like Sin is wearing, or a hoodie, you know, to support autism awareness like my man Jokes is wearing. Somehow we all managed to hook that up this week. Greg said, I love it. That's exactly what we need. A super smart Lex Luthor. I mean, we have one. We just got, my man just got to get the, my man like, listen, I'm going to be a billionaire and I'm going to remove this dude. Like, he gone. Sin, you have another job to do.
Yes, so let's shout out our top tier patrons, starting with Anthony Cunningham, Marcus Husen, Susan Deutsch, Tyrone Carson, Meticulous Skin, Alex Lee, and Ellis Mbe. Thank you very much. We truly, truly appreciate it.
It's an absolute fact. Once again, extra special shout out to Ellis. Man, I'm glad you're doing okay.
1,000%.
Love you, bro. You know what I'm saying? So thank you for tuning in tonight, too. It's been great to kind of have you in the chat picking on Sin for a little bit. Didn't bother me at all.
No, it didn't.
Keep in mind, Lotus X Movie Club movie of the month is Flashpoint Paradox, animated film. We are going to do a discussion, just like what you see here, on the last day of the month. Is a Wednesday, the 31st. But the week before that, on the 24th, we are going to do a watch along in our Discord. So if you're not already in our Discord and you would like to join our Discord, you can do that by going to the Beacons link, and you can find our Discord there. If you want to hang out and watch the movie with us, Wednesday the 24th, we'll be doing that. Man, look at y'all showing all this love, man. Hef says, great show. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. Andrew said, bye, guys. Have a great week. Thank you. You do the same.
Same thing.
Dr. Who said, good night, all. Ellis gave us a yellow, his Simpsons thumbs up and a heart. I take them both. So yeah, make sure you hang out with us there. Again, we will be at Awesome Con. We might be showing up at Fan Expo Philly, maybe for a day. We are right now working out the logistics of doing a special trivia night for a special viewing in Baltimore of Batman 1989. So it looks like we'll be hosting and doing some trivia for that, and then watching the 1989 Batman, which I think is really cool. Coming in on this whole actual Flash movie, which is basically Flashpoint, which again we're watching for Movie Club. So it's all starting to work itself out. I'll make sure Greg shows that to Ellis, shows a little love. So yeah, so definitely, you know, kind of keep pace. Make sure you check out our socials. We'll let you know what we're doing and where we are as we're doing things. May 21st, we will be at LotCon, Comic Logic. LotCon, that is a Sunday. We're going to be over there hanging out with our good folks at Comic Logic in Northern Virginia. So if you're in that area or if you want to head in that area, one, great comic book store. Two, great people. And three, there will be a lot of great vendors who are also great people that most of them are people we know. We'll be there and hanging out. We'll be doing some snack bites and trying some kind of crazy snacks and so forth. Sin, you just grabbed a few things that we're going to have to try. Would you get like the new mustard Doritos and
the ketchup Doritos, and I got the Tabasco Doritos.
And Tabasco Doritos. Speaking of some of the great people at Northern Virginia.
Hey.
So yeah, we're gonna be doing some snacks and stuff like that, hanging out, shooting some interviews, and posting that information. Again, our spoiler boys for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is live now on YouTube. Jokes, I'm sure, is gonna get the audio fixed. We had a little issue, little snafu trying to get the audio up. But definitely check that out. It is 2 hours, but it's a solid 2 hours about the MCU, the state of the MCU, where these films fit into it, and how this film works within all of what has happened in the MCU so far. So I highly recommend doing that. But, you know, don't take my word for it. Go watch it and see if I was right. If I wasn't right, come back and let me know. Thomas said, what crazy thing should I bring to all the try?
Surprise us?
Yeah, because
honestly,
I mean, surprise us, but like maybe let us know so in case it's something we already have, so you know we don't double dip. Down for almost anything. Almost.
Keyword,
don't do that.
Almost.
Don't do that because you know something of mayo will show up. Don't do that.
Hey, look, Thomas said Guardians of the Galaxy was outstanding. I was very pleased. Now I'm just gonna pretend he said the Guardians of the Galaxy Spoiler Boys was outstanding. I was very pleased. Y'all watch that Spoiler Boys. You know, I gotta get them views, man. Spoiler Boys is also listed as a podcast now on YouTube, so you can go in and just put it on and you can listen to it in the background, especially if you have like just that's anyway. See, this is what I'm talking about. Surprise you.
Yep.
Why you gotta be evil, Thomas? Why you gotta throw the evil laugh on?
Yep, that sounds like Thomas.
Sin, what's happening Thursday?
Thursday, Thriller Park is back. We had to take a week off last week because we went to go see Guardians. But this week we're back. We're starting this new season of animes off with Canterbury of the Iron Fortress. We're starting that Thursday, so join us for that. Also, Thursday, Patreon members, you will get the finale of Anime Vault Season 3, The Vision of Escaflowne. Everybody else, you will get the record of Lotus War. So that goes live for everybody on Thursday, and Patreon gets their early viewing of Vision of Escaflowne, Anime Vault finale.
Jokes, what's the next wrestling? They're not called pay-per-views anymore.
Premium live event. I still call them pay-per-views, though.
We are looking at Night of Champions. So this will be coming from Saudi Arabia. So we are looking to crown our brand new world heavyweight champion. We will know by the end of this week who our two competitors were. Seth Rollins versus somebody we don't know yet. We will be definitely doing our predictions for that. So stay tuned for the date on that. But that'll be the next thing in line for us.
Hey, do we feel some kind of way about it being in Saudi Arabia, and Saudi Arabia is like partial ownership with WWE and all that? Is that a thing? Do we feel some kind of way about that?
Since they're not,
yes or no?
Right now, like no.
All right, no need to discuss it then. I just figured if yes, it might be worth discussing. All right,
it is what it is.
What you gonna do about it?
Exactly,
Hammer. What are you gonna do about it, Hammer? I know you know the answer, Sam.
I do.
What's the answer?
Who gonna put him in the mix?
I'm gonna turn this mother out.
It's a lot of.
All right, so we gotta shut the show down. Hold on, Greg. I'm gonna post it. Roman needs to take it off.
Greg, if you don't back out and go somewhere, if you don't get out of old school, I gotta go old school, Gage. Get out of the comments, Greg.
My stories, I don't care where it is. Okay. My man said Saudi gets what they want. Man, my man's just kidding. I mean, listen, I know it's a hot button. That's why I pushed it. Look, once again, thank y'all for hanging out with us this evening. I really do appreciate it. It does mean a lot to us. Thank y'all for hanging out. I hope y'all had a good time. Again, don't forget to hit the like, the share, subscribe, ring the bell. You know, all that stuff that the creator people say. That stuff they say, do that for us. We appreciate it. It really does mean a lot. I know we have a lot of creators and stuff like that hang out and are in here. Please, again, remember to go and follow each other. We are building a community here. So, you know, as you see names and you continue to see those names each week, please go and follow each other and support each other in the things that they do. It does matter quite a bit to us. We will have Shady Hayes on the show. She is a brilliant cosplayer. She's going to be on with us to represent again for Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. So please tune in. That's coming in a couple of weeks. We'll push out a reminder for that. Having said that, Jokes,
sure.
Tell the people what I need them to know.
Remember, y'all, just because you have a well thought out plan doesn't make it a good idea.
With that, we're out. Toodles and lose. Push a button.
Loading snacks.